I've never met a man who started out wanting to fail, who succeeded wildly. And I've never met a man who succeeded wildly without being intentional about that success. Mm, Success. I want to talk about men and success in this video because I'm convinced that a man who starts out believing that any success he has is both partial, um, incomplete, just a part of the equation, positions himself for greater success in every arena. It's not cool when we just succeed in one area and then think that we have succeeded in all of life. I should say that one more time. It's not cool to think that if I succeed in one area, that success now carries over and applies or means that I have succeeded in every facet and area of life. Why would I want to succeed making great money and then be miserable in marriage and in my relationships? Why would I want to succeed, make great money, but have bad relationships with my children? In this video, I want to talk about going from good success to extraordinary success. And this is for successful men in particular. I've spent a lot of my time with men in my work as a relationships coach, and I've seen this pattern among very successful men, men who have succeeded in professional sports, men who have succeeded in business, men who have succeeded in medicine. They spend a lot of energy. We spend a lot of energy. Can I say we? We spend a lot of energy trying to succeed and then reach a level of success where we stop moving forward. And I want to talk about some of the reasons why that is and what we should do to really move from one level of good success to more levels of extraordinary success. Because what I know about God is that He is a God who likes to take people from one level of glory to another level of glory. In other words, the best is yet to come in our lives. There's more to us, there's more on the inside, there's more that we are designed to accomplish. But when we sit on our hands or rest our laurels or only become content with succeeding in one part of our lives and then think it should absolutely apply to other parts of our lives, we've made a big mistake. Okay, I was talking to one of my wonderful clients today. Love this guy, have enjoyed the journey with him and his wife as their marriage, relationships, family coach. And we came to an impasse. And it became clear to me in our conversation. I said, "Hey, man, you are brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You could not have succeeded in your career as a professional athlete without being brilliant, playing as long as you have. In his career, if you get to the 3 year mark, you have pretty much hit the average. You're probably on your way out. Played the game for 7 years at a high level, accomplished a great deal in his career, only to meet some extraordinary challenges in his marriage. Now, those challenges, to be honest, to be sure, were boiling under the surface for some time. And then when he transitioned from his career, it became clear why their marriage wasn't doing well. But to be sure, again, he is a brilliant person. I said, "Man, you succeeded because I watch you take notes, take voracious notes. You write down everything." I said, "And you have spent the money, you've invested the money for coaching because you want to get better, because you want to heal what's broken in the relationship." I said, "But we've been doing this now for some time, and I've shared with you that we're at an impasse, not because you're not showing up for the sessions, not because your wife is not showing up for the sessions, but because you have grown to this level of understanding." But his wife said he is resistant to change. That's an interesting phrase. She said he's resistant to change. The way we landed the plane and concluded was that there's a part of his life where he was extraordinarily successful because the recipe, the formula that he applied made him successful in that arena, in the sports world. but that same formula won't apply in his marriage life. And so while he was here in the sports world, he's been here in his marriage. But now, in order to get here to the next level of extraordinary success, he's got to begin to apply a new formula. And I want to share some of that formula with you in this video, because if you're a man, maybe you're not, maybe you're a lady, but you want to get to new levels of success, not only as it concerns your place in your profession, your vocation, not only concerning your money, but especially concerning your marriage, then let's get into something. So the Bible says, when I was a man, I reasoned like a man. I thought like a man. I behaved like a no. It didn't say like not like a man, like a child. I'm sorry. When I was a child, I thought like a child, believed like a child, I reasoned like a child. But when I became a man, I put away childish things. Paul goes on to say that now we see in part, but then we shall see clearly. We'll see fully, and we'll be fully known. Here's what he's saying: there's a level of progression where we take what we know in part, accept that it's partial, accept that it's incomplete, that it's good. It gets us to one level, but that there's more for us. And if we can embrace that perspective that I don't know it all, that I haven't achieved everything, that I've succeeded in one area, but I got work to do in some other areas, if I can embrace that, I position myself for extraordinary success at new levels and new parts of my life, my journey, my experience in the world, and especially when it comes to my marriage and to my family. Okay, let's talk about this, because a lot of men are leaving a lot of chips on the table. They're winning, balling, getting it done in their professions, and their marriages and their families are languishing because what got them here in their careers will not get them even to the same level in their marriages and relationships. Let me give you three pieces to this formula that I think are worth noting. Grab a piece of paper, write this down. This is going to be helpful to you. If we haven't met, I'm Rod Harrison. I am a relationships expert, and I am a executive coach for really successful people who want to also succeed in their marriages and their families. Sometimes it can be a struggle. In addition, if you will, make sure you grab my couples communication workshop. If you got struggles in your communication, there's a link below. Grab that workshop. It's going to change the game and how y'all flow in your communication. Every couple I work with, and for years, over 30 years, I've been working with couples, especially in the NFL and Major League Baseball, players in hockey, right? Almost every couple, when I ask them, what's your biggest challenge? They say communication. So I've created this resource to help you begin to improve and have a better communication connection between the two of you. All right. So here's the first thing. Don't believe the lies that success is telling you. You can't believe the lies that your current success is telling you, because current success or recent success or even past success that you may have moved away from, you've transitioned to another part of your life. You cannot believe the lies that success tells you, because success, as good as it is, can tell our brains something that's not helpful or productive. The essence of that message is that whatever you did to succeed, just keep doing more of that. Somebody wrote a book, What Got You Here Won't Get You There. And the principles are brilliant, because in essence, if you want to get to the next level, if you want to be more successful, experience more kinds of success, you can't believe the lie that everything you did to be successful in one dimension, area, space of your life is going to apply for the next area of your life. Let me give you some of those lies, some of the challenges here. The formula will be good for everything else you do. No, it won't. It won't. I watch many players when they are in the middle of their athletic careers, especially I was 14 years working with players in the NFL. I watch many players take the same principles that they hear from their coaches and that they apply to succeed, to be great receivers, great defenders, great linemen, great kickers, take those principles home to try to tell their children and their wives, if you just do this like this, then everything will be cool. You'll be successful. And what they don't realize is that just because you did that and you succeeded in football or in hockey or in baseball doesn't mean it's going to work here at home, because the locker room is not the house. That right there. The locker room is not the same thing as the house. The dynamics are different. What it takes to succeed is different. And you can't expect your wife and your children to operate on locker room success principles or athletic success principles. Yes, some of them transfer, like hard work. Yes, we get that. But you can't treat home like you treat the ball field or the locker room. It doesn't work that way. And you got to stop trying to impose on your children and on your wife that they need to have the same um, apply the same rules for success that you applied in your work as an athlete. It does not work. If you want to get to the next level, if you want to have a successful relationship with them, you've got to embrace some new principles for success, because so often uh, in our careers where we were successful as men, we weren't told or taught how to succeed at home also. So it was almost this either or. And now, when you get later in your career, but you've been successful, you try to go home and you're like, I don't know what I'm doing. So don't believe the lie that success tells you that if I just apply the same formula, it will work. Um, your wife and your children can't be led by the same principles. You've succeeded, so now you know how to succeed. That's not true. You succeeded in one area and you know how to succeed in that area, but you don't necessarily know how to succeed in this area, the other area, another area. And again, I see so many athletes who miss this principle, so many successful business people who miss this principle, so many doctors, physicians, surgeons who miss this principle. They're successful, they know how to study, they know how to memorize, they learn all of the surgical techniques, but they did not learn how to succeed with marriage and with home, because it requires a different skill set. If you can get your mind around it and just say, I knew what I was doing here. Over here, I don't know so much. It positions you to continue to be curious and to be a learner. So here's another one. Don't confuse stuff with growth. Stuff and growth are not the same thing. Because, when you become successful, you start making money, you gain, popularity, notoriety. Everybody wants to know your name, everybody wants to hang out with you. That's cool. It's fine. No problem. But uh, don't get it confused. Don't get it twisted that somehow stuff and growth are the same. So a lot of times we start accumulating things. Like, you can have nice vacations, you can go nice places, you can eat at the finest restaurants, stay in five-star hotels, buy whatever you want. That's cool, because now you have succeeded. But it is a temptation to think that that success, those things, those experiences that you're able to have, also means that you are developing, growing, getting better, um, from a developmental standpoint. So I've watched a lot of men who, they grow, they develop their acumen, they develop their skill set, they develop their professions, and they succeed, but they don't grow at the same rate, or they don't continue to grow and develop as a man, as a person. So if you don't become intentional about your personal development, you have a great mark of success on your life, which can know it, watch this now, it can't carry you at the next level of your life because you stop growing. And so people will experience you as somebody very successful until they spend more time with you. And then it becomes almost incomprehensible. How could you be so successful and then be so lacking in other areas of maturity and growth in your life? Now, let me be clear with some of us. You can succeed so well that a lot of people will tolerate you for a long time, even though you have not developed. But at some point, your lack of development will show up and people will go, ugh. And we watch this with men in business. We watch this with men in sports. We watch this with men in politics. We watch this with men behind microphones with great platforms who were highly successful athletically, even highly successful on their shows. Am I tripping here? Right? We don't have to call names. That's not necessary. But we can call it what it is. Right? How do you go from this kind of success at this level of success and then fall so powerfully from grace? I'm not saying you can't get back up and keep going, but at some point we all have to look at ourselves and say, am I developing? What are you doing to develop yourself? What are you doing to develop yourself? What are you doing to grow you? So career success is not the same as personal development. Let me just throw that out there. Career success is not the same as personal development, right? You can have career success, but if you and I don't develop our character is the person we become known to be because of how people experience us and what they experience. And when I say character, it means good character. We always assume good character, right? That your word is your bond, that you're not out to get anyone, that you got good morals, good ethics. Like how do you develop that? That's intentional. Development is not something that we stumble upon. But if I only focus on this success over here and don't choose to develop myself, then I stop positioning myself for to reach the potential heights for other successes in my life. So I minister to a lot of athletes. I've worked with a lot of athletes. I've coached a lot of athletes. And one of the things that I've seen is when you're young and you make money, you don't necessarily understand money. So, a lot of athletes are like, I got a financial planner. That's great. You got a financial planner. That sounds good. But do you understand the plan? Do you understand how the plan came about? Do you agree with the plan? Is this the plan that works for you? So so they're growing, they're developing, but they're not developing their understanding of money. So oftentimes they're so um, new to money that they don't understand how to use money for their own growth and development. And this, it's just a fact. So, a lot of times we'll buy cars, but we won't buy courses. We'll buy cars, but we won't buy um, uh, classes, right? We think that success and having money is something to hold on to, but we don't understand the principle that you have to invest in yourself in order to develop yourself. No one grows without investment. Like no one else is responsible to make you grow, to help you grow. I met a lot of people who want growth for free, like no investment on their part, but all the investment on somebody else's part. That's a terrible equation because what I've learned is those who pay actually pay attention. And those who pay more, they actually pay more attention. Those who pay more who pay more and pay more attention have greater levels of success because they're more invested in the process and what it requires, so they can't help but grow. When you want to develop and you want to go higher, you have to develop, you have to invest in your own personal development. I hope this is making sense to you. Holla back in the comments. Let me know if this is resonating with you. Maybe you're a wife and you're watching your husband who's done great things, right? Might be languishing. Maybe he's in the midst of a transition. By the way, this is so important for whatever transition you go through, career transition, life transitions. I think this can be really helpful. Um, Oftentimes, people substitute their degrees for development. I am not a degree hater. I am that guy who believes that learning is crucial to development. But sometimes people think that if they go and get more degrees, that that makes them more effective. It can, but it's not necessarily true. It's not a gimme, is my point. So I got a friend who, he struggled and went off to college. He didn't finish college. And so he spent many years struggling to move forward in his career. And so finally decided, I'm going back to college. I'm going to finish my degree. I'm going to go get a master's. I'm going to go get a doctorate. And he's gotten all of those things. And now he's on his fifth marriage. Like, help me out here. Help me out here. Somebody help me out. Like, you got the degrees, but you're on your fifth marriage. Like, that's not development. That's called getting degrees, but degrees don't necessarily equate to development, because development is when you're willing to look down on the inside to say, I got to get better in these categories of my life so I can be a better man, be a better person, be a better employee, be a better husband, be a better dad, be a better leader. Development is about the development of our character, our person, not necessarily our knowledge, though knowledge is important to it. How about this? The development of our wisdom. Wisdom is the skill for how we live. And I love reading about Solomon in the Proverbs in the book of Ecclesiastes. Yes, he made some horrible mistakes, but his recovery was that he humbled himself, and that takes wisdom. Wisdom is the skill to live, the skill to understand how things work, how life works, it's the skill of doing what's good and right rather than what's bad and wrong in any given situation. So don't confuse stuff for growth. Don't confuse people's applause for growth. Don't confuse accolades for growth. Don't confuse cars for growth. The things you can buy for growth. It's not the same thing. It just simply means you succeeded enough to have stuff, but stuff is not growth. All right. I hope that's helpful to you. Let me give you one final one. Don't believe that who you have been is who you need to continue to be. Catch these two words. Don't believe that who you've been, like who you were as a person, who you were is who you should always continue to be. So often when I'm working with players and when I was a chaplain in the NFL, one of the great contentions that players would have is people would say, oh, you got brand new because you're now balling, because you're now making money, because you got this and you got that. And I would often tell players, you should say, absolutely, I'm brand new. Yeah, I'm brand new. I'm not who I was. I'm trying to become somebody that I've never been so that I can have something that I've never had. Because you got to be better so you can do better, so you can have better. And have is not talking about stuff, nothing wrong with stuff. I'm talking about so you can have a better, richer life experience. And if that includes more things that you enjoy, then more power to you. That's cool. There's no problem with that. But you got to choose to be somebody better. And a lot of people struggle because they resist change. They resist becoming someone else better. What do you mean being? Who are you? Whoever you are when you succeed in your 20s, maybe if you're a professional athlete, who you are when you succeed in your 30s, who you are even when you succeed in your 40s, should not be who you are when you begin to succeed in other um, eras of your life. I don't want to, I'm not the same person at this stage of my life at 59 almost that I was at 49 or 39 or 29. Thank God. Yeah, who I was then when I was a child, I absolutely thought like a child. I reasoned like a child. I behaved like a child. Even when I was 29, I was acting childish. But having some coaches, some mentors in my life helped me focus on my being, how I be, how I show up, how people experience me. I hope that's making sense to you. And so, if you don't become a better being who's better at being, you begin your decline. If you don't become, I had to write this down so I could remember it. If you don't become a better being who is better at being, you begin your decline. If you don't become a better being who is better at being, you begin your decline. That's why a lot of people plateau as men, and they then begin to decline. And so they have this story of great success publicly, but they never really get to the next level. Because as I said, there's got to be some investment. Like your family needs you to invest in you. They need a higher version, like a 3.0 version of you, a 4.0 version. I decided I'm never going to stop climbing. I'm never going to stop growing. I want to keep growing for the rest of my life. Is this making sense to anybody? Is anybody having a good time here besides me? Right? You got to keep growing. And when you do, when you focus on growing, you focus on your being, how you be, how you show up. That's your character, right? It's like I want to be better at character, better at time alone, better at recognizing, better at let's talk about this. Better at processing my emotions. How good are you at processing your emotions as a man, right? Because this is for men. I don't know how many ladies are checking out this video, but this is about men. Like how good you got to get good at processing your emotions, because otherwise your anger is what keeps popping out, and that's what people keep experiencing. I said to my friend earlier, my client earlier, I said, um, you came strong at your wife and literally destroyed her with your words. Where did that come from on the inside? And he said to me something very profound. After he thought about it for like 3 minutes, he's like, I don't know, maybe it was this, maybe it was that. I said, no, just cool out. Let's think about that. Where did that come from? Because everything you see happen on the outside starts on the inside. Don't miss that one. Everything that happens on the outside starts on the inside. He said, after all of my mistakes in our marriage, I feel like she doesn't like me. So anytime there's a complaint or you should do that, he says, I feel like she doesn't like me. And I said, and this is why we got to get better with our emotions. Because if I don't get better with my emotional life, I could wreck something. And you can make a lot of money at this level, be very successful at this level. If you don't get a hold of your emotions, you will get to a place in your life where your emotions will destroy all of your past successes. It was interesting to watch Shannon apologize to his older brother Sterling after all of these things came out about his settlement and his no longer being employed by ESPN. He said, I didn't want to upstage my brother, and I didn't want all of my stuff to taint his stuff, because he has reached a point in his life on his journey where he has not focused on his being, his character, his emotions, his thirst, why he was getting down the way he was getting down. And that has come to a head, and it has cost him dearly. And now the decline is happening. I believe anyone can bounce back, but we've got to choose. We've got to choose to be intentional about continuing to go from one level of success to extraordinary levels of success by working on the person, the man. And so here's what we said: don't believe the lie success is telling you, right? You can't apply the principles from one success to all things that you need to succeed at. Don't confuse stuff with growth. Just because we accumulate and we have access to stuff doesn't mean we're growing. But it can surely be a tricky thing. We can think, I got it, I'm doing it, I must be growing. Not necessarily so. So don't confuse the two. And don't believe that who you've been is who you should now forever be. Be okay with growing, with emerging, with becoming someone new, someone better, someone more engaged emotionally, somebody closer to God, somebody who is changing because you see that change is necessary, growth is necessary. And when you do, you can succeed to the next level. Hey, make sure you don't forget to get that better communications workshop for couples. And I hope to see you in the next video. All right, take care. Peace. See you then.